Welcome to this week's podcast. We're talking about the current climate of America, and we're going to continue on our theme of boiling / semi-simmering / is the pot actually have water in it?
Or is the pot just completely on fire?
Yeah, welcome to it, everybody. So we'd like to talk about, let's just right off the bat to start with the fact that I am Nirvana Diaz.
I'm Amanda Bressler.
I'm Raymond Morales.
And it's unpaid intern.
Who's still in school.
I'm still in school, everyone. Thank you for your positive energy.
For the moment.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Shut up.
Ray.
Must we get morbid on this morbid
He can't help
podcast?
himself. He's Irish. So anyway, we're discussing the fact that the strikes that are going on in America, and anyone reporting on these strikes is calling them. I watched Al Jazeera, a clip from Al Jazeera the other day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And they spoke about the fact that there are ships docked off of the coast of America because people are striking because of the mandates. Whether you believe in the vaccine or not, mandates are not a good idea.
No.
People may feel comfortable under the current president, but these mandates and these laws will not go away. So sooner or later, these mandates, these powers, will fall into the hands of someone you don't want to have them.
Right.
What's when Trump comes back?
And
He
Lord
will.
knows.
Most likely.
And he
if
will.
it's looking
Lord
at the
knows
moment.
Lord knows what Lord Cheeto will mandate.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave that power in his hands?
As someone who is being subjected to these mandates,
Right.
Right.
and who's being
Everyone here is actually subjected to them.
everybody
Yeah.
is subjected to them, but as someone who hasn't got one before and really doesn't want one now,
I've never had this happen to me before either.
I'm
No.
going to share from a personal experience.
Yes, please.
After being told at the beginning of this week that I had to submit some kind of verification, I had a meltdown.
Yeah, it was hard for me. The
So
emotional stress is intense.
I went a little crazy, and I talked to a lot of my peers, and a lot of us agree that not only, I've repeated this before, but not only is my education being taken away from me, my future, my money, my everything
It's being threatened.
is
And-
being taken away from me, and
as we've pointed out to you, Title 6 and 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, I believe, has openly said you may not be discriminated against for
Religious beliefs,
reasons of
skin
religion,
color,
culture, etc.
anything
And
that
now-
might be discriminated against.
Sadly, the main producers of these vaccines have tested all of their vaccines on stem cell lines,
Right.
on
Or not-
fetal cell lines.
So,
Pardon.
not on actual people.
And-
Not on actual people, but fetal cell lines, which now means if you're a practicing observant Christian,
I
or
don't know how the Jews
A
feel about
number of
abortion. How do the Jews feel about
religion.
abortion? Do you know?
No.
but
No.
as
I'm
a
too- I'm too mu-
practicing
I'm too much-
Christian,
I'm too much of a Reformed Jew to actually have a say
Wait,
on
I
what
would
the
say
Jew,
in general,
on
Judaism
what the
doesn't
Jew.
believe in
But
abortion
also
either,
as
probably.
but
someone who-
specifically
I don't
as
think we give a shit.
as a Christian,
But you love babies. You love the furthering of the tribe.
you're now
Furthering of the tribe, but like it depends on which part of the tribe you're talking to.
Oh, that's so
It depends
true.
on which part of the tribe you're talking to.
That's
Are we
very
talking?
true.
Are we talking about the tribe that still think that we need to make up for the 6 million that died in
Right.
the Holocaust, even
Which
though
we
that
already
was
have.
which we already have in abundance? If we're talking globally, the rebirth of all the people who died
Right.
in the Holocaust, or just Israel, or just that sanction of that little cloister of Jews. But let's be real.
you've been excommunicated.
We've been,
But what I'm saying is, under Title 6 and 7 of the Civil Rights Act of America, not
America.
Israel, ignore that.
okay.
We are now not allowed to subjugate our people under a law that they would find morally repulsive. So, thankfully, all of the people who've made vaccines right now, all the vaccines that you can possibly take against COVID, have been tested against fetal cell lines.
And if I can say real quick, just because I have been met with this earlier this week, a lot of my classmates are speaking out. I was not a part of this class. This was a different time period. Well, it's the same year, same class, but different times, is what I'm saying.
Pre-COVID.
I have a friend.
No, class before.
Yes.
Oh.
This is still now. This is basically on Monday. I had a classmate who told me from that class who
To
had
verify, your first year is
to
broken
verify.
up into different classes.
Yes, we have cohort 1, 2, and 3. My friend from cohort 3 let me know that when the professors let him and his class know about all the mandates and what you would need to do and this and that, half of the class, and there are about 22, 24 at most students, to put in perspective for you, half of that revolted straight in the Zoom meeting.
They were talking
And
back at the
they-
professor?
They yelled at the professors, because I have 2 in that class. They yelled at both professors and they said, "How could you do this to us? You can't do this to us. This is wrong. This is not something that you should be doing." And even the students who were vaccinated and have their verifications up in CUNY first have spoken out and said, "Well, you said this, which was weekly testing, and now you say this, which is vaccine mandate,
Right.
which is wrong."
And as we
So-
said last week when you weren't here, it's you signed up for this college.
Right.
Exactly.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No,
But
yes.
you signed up for this college with a number of caveats, which was there's remote learning, there's a mixture of remote and
I
in
do
person.
remember even going over remote learning with both Nirvana and Raymond, which was, should I do this? Would this be a good option? And they both asked me the question of, well, are they requiring anything that you're not okay with? And I said in that moment, because they were not, no, actually they're not. So if I'm comfortable with going back and you're comfortable with me going back as people who I live with, can I go back? And it was a moment of, yes, if that's what you want and if that's what you
course.
need from
Yeah.
learning, we are not going to stop you. It's 2 days out of the week. Go back, darling. And what happens? They require something of you that you yourself are not okay with. So you lied to me. You told me something, and then you lied to me. And people are so quick and so ready to get back to something that is, quote, the norm. But when has this ever been a norm?
When has this been normal? Like,
When
what-
has forcing people ever been something that we have
Considered
specified or considered normal? You keep wanting to go back to something that isn't your normal. You are
And this is
creating a new normal.
Exactly,
Yep.
and this is a whole nother thing. It's like everyone is just so desperate to go backwards, not forwards. Everyone's trying to go back to the way things were back in 2019.
As if that was possible.
As if that was possible. You can't go. You can't
can't
go
go
forward.
back.
You can't go
Last
backwards.
time
You
I
can only
checked,
go. You
a
can only go
Raichu
forwards.
can't be a Pikachu again. A Pikachu can only be a Raichu, everybody.
All right, Weeb.
I'm
Calm down.
sorry.
She's right. She's right
Just to
though.
put it
It is
in
a
perspective
good
for
metaphor.
everyone, you go
Can't
from a
go
Pikachu, which is called evolving, you move on to a Raichu. I hope everybody here knows what evolving means, but if you don't, that means you upgrade, darling. You upgrade.
Which is right.
But it's true. It's like everyone is just so desperate to have things the way they were because.
But nothing
because,
is
but
the
it's
way
back,
they were.
Because back when everything was quote unquote comfortable.
That's
the
it.
thing. Everyone was comfortable before COVID.
I honestly,
and
how
this
much
is
were you comfortable?
and
How
honestly,
much
like,
were
but
you
still,
just-
like exactly,
Although-
like,
Forming.
Can
but
we just
also-
say as a side
hey,
note?
ketchup.
Like-
I'm done. No one can see this, but I'm putting the hands up. But everyone is so like desperate to get back to the pre-COVID normality that everyone was comfortable coexisting in. People are still struggling coexisting in the current COVID post-lockdown era that we're in. Yes, we still have to wear masks. Yes, most places require you now to be vaccinated because that is the new normal. And a lot of the places are like, if you can't get behind the new normal, then go back to whatever the fuck hole you came from.
They're putting you in a hole.
Putting you in a hole. And honestly, it's not fair to the people who can't get vaccinated, who
Don't want to get
who
vaccinated.
don't want to get
For whatever
vaccinated for
reason.
whatever reason it is, whether it's religious, whether it's
Political.
whether it's political, whether it's health. If you can't get vaccinated because either health-wise you can't do it because your doctors say you would be worse off getting vaccinated than being vaccinated, you should not be punished because you're not adhering to what the new societal norms are.
Last time I checked, I don't get punished for my choices.
Exactly.
Well,
I mean, as a woman, you get punished for all your choices anyway.
But last time I checked,
that's a whole nother can of worms.
Last time I checked, you weren't keeping me from a paycheck. You weren't keeping me from my education
that's true.
for over a vaccination. Because guess what? You need this paycheck, boo, and that's my name.
And last time I checked, no one cuts you off from being in society if you don't get a flu shot.
And
right.
why would we talk about now the shipping crisis, the trucker crisis? Why would we now talk about how there's 80,000 truckers that need to be imported into America in order to keep the supply lines going smoothly?
Right.
But we're not allowed to hear.
Shelves are empty again, folks.
And
we're
we're
not
paying
allowed to
attention.
hear why those former truckers are no longer allowed to deliver our food to us.
Oh, because they're not vaccinated. So if they're not vaccinated, they're unclean.
And we're
You
not
can't
hearing.
unload ships unless you've been triple vaxxed.
And we're not hearing about the students who are falling down and falling behind in every single one of their classes now because all the professors can speak about is going back in person, and they know that they don't want to get this, or they know for health reasons they can't get this. Because I have a classmate who personally, I'm not going to disclose any of her information because I don't know her like that.
At least we know
But
it's her.
a classmate who is saying that she is fully against it because of medical reasons, and she's not sure if she can get the exemption.
And if I might,
She is
because we're not divulging her name. She's a cancer survivor.
I think we discussed her last week.
No, yes, but it's also the fact that it's like it's not just her. I almost was able to have a personal one-on-one connection with one of my classmates, and I was cut off because it was a breakout room, and breakout rooms are something that Zoom teachers have been doing recently, which is when they put you into you're still in Zoom, but you're with like 3 of your classmates, and you just talk about whatever they ask you to talk about. And one of the topics that popped up was the vaccine. And I brought up to the student that I didn't want to get it and that I was unsure of it. And all this student could say was, well, you have time, and, you know, I've been told the same thing, and, you know, like, I'm still in the same position. But it's like,
but you don't
how
have time.
many, but it's exactly that. You don't have time. And how many of these poor,
Because
and
we're
I'm
all
sorry to
poor.
say, I'm going to curse, these poor fucking students had to succumb to something they don't believe in, because this is all I've been met with this week is either way I go, it's not the way I want.
Because you're
Right.
lower.
Do
Do I
lower
go
income.
do I go left where nothing is right, or do I go left where there's nothing right anymore?
Right.
That's the problem. But you're lower income and you have no way
Like
to defend
there's
yourself.
nowhere
And
to
you
go.
have to give in for political expediency.
Right.
Right.
Because again, these
If Trump was president,
Everybody would be fighting this shit
yes.
daily. People would be
Yes.
like, "Oh, you got vaccinated? That's Trump's vaccine. How dare you?"
it's still Trump's vaccine.
It's still Trump's vaccine.
It is still
and people
Trump's
are not
vaccine.
understanding. You are taking Trump's vaccine. This is not Biden's vaccine.
And just now-
Biden did not come
Not
up
even
with this
just
shit.
now. This is earlier
Oh
this
my
day.
God.
It's true.
Earlier today, my great aunt, who watches MSNBC, and she
Ew.
watched this on an MSNBC network, she said
That's
that a
rough,
doctor went on there, and a doctor who you trust said Johnson
do
and
this.
Johnson is not acceptable for women under the age of 50. And what is
Really?
what is
Are you
what is
serious?
and what is CUNY
Yo.
what is CUNY requiring?
Johnson
Johnson
Johnson & Johnson, if you not have been vaccinated before
Because it's
September
quick-
27th.
because
But
it's
guess
quick and
what?
easy.
But guess what? Even the
Oh
faculty,
my God.
even the faculty of
Their new
all
tagline.
CUNY schools,
Because it's quick and
the
easy.
faculty
Oh my God.
of all CUNY schools, which
Johnson &
includes
Johnson, quick and
professors, security guards, all in betwixt, they have all been told at a random, hey, guess what? You gotta be vaccinated. Hey, guess what? You need this now. And not only that, but you're gonna have to tell your students each and every day they need it.
So you're
And then what's
propaganda.
gonna
You're
happen?
propaganda now.
What's gonna happen by the end of my my class day at the end of the day, which I go from 1:15 to 6:30.
Don't
At
forget
the
to get
end of that
vaccinated.
class, I check to see how many people are involved, and guess how many people are involved when you're supposed to have 22 to 23 students? You got 9.
And again, to verify, we're not anti-vax, we're anti-lack
Lack
of
of
choice.
choice.
I'm anti-hypocrisy.
Yes.
I am
Hypocrisy.
I am anti-hypocrisy. I am anti all of that. Because last year you said this, and now
Right.
you're saying what?
You liars.
Yeah, exactly.
You lie.
And
And
And if you
that lie is coming straight from the fucking top
Yes.
of the food chain, Mr.
Yes.
Joe fucking Biden.
It's true.
You said on your inauguration, I know because I watched your inauguration. I was forced
watched
to
it.
I was forced to watch that inauguration. Thank you very much, Dad. But watching that shit, laughing my ass off all the way through.
Because you knew it was a
Because
liar?
I knew the entire thing was just a lie and propaganda bullshit, and literally him saying, "I am not going to force a single American to get vaccinated. It is your choice." This is still. He even
10
said
months later.
10 months later. Oh, if you're not fully vaccinated, you can't be a part of our society anymore.
You can't have a
Sorry
job.
about
you can't
that.
go to school.
You can't do shit. You
anything.
can't get.
can't
You
go to
can't make a fucking
restaurants,
paycheck.
you can't go to entertainment
You cannot.
venues.
You cannot make a fucking paycheck.
Right.
You cannot have a steady income
first it was all
unless you
voluntary.
are fully vaccinated. When I got vaccinated back in February, it feels like 100 years ago at this point now. I went because I voluntarily got vaccinated because I wanted to make money. I was working.
But then even then, you did
But
it
even
because
then,
you
I
wanted to
did it
make
because I
money.
needed to make money.
And
But
again,
again,
They're saying right now that
but
if
at
you
this
go
point,
too far back, if you've gotten vaccinated early, you might now have suffered a waning of
Right,
protection.
another shot.
I
where
mean,
you
yeah.
need another shot, and
Fuck
then
that
another
shit.
shot, and then another shot,
Yeah,
I'm not
and
gonna
etc.
speak for
etc.
people.
No.
But this is the but this is the thing. Like they even said they're saying now that like the vaccine is only credible. It only works for a certain amount of months. After that,
Right,
you're
like
gonna
6
need
months?
you're gonna need like 6
Yes,
to 7 months.
because what
I
is-
mean that kind of makes sense because I supposedly got COVID 6 months later.
Interesting.
So I still don't believe I had it. I really do not believe I had it. No one else in my family, no one else I was around during that time
Because again,
tested positive.
the
I was the
COVID
only
test
one.
they're offering us
and exactly,
can't tell the difference between a common
regular
cold
and
and
COVID.
the COVID vaccine.
So I'm
the COVID
I'm only calling it COVID because I got extra pay.
Why
Yes.
not?
Why the fuck not? I get workman's
Everyone needs
comp.
a paycheck.
And
Everyone
again,
needs a paycheck.
my
But
whole life-
But honestly, it's getting to that point where it's a blurred line where no one can
Yes.
fucking tell anymore whether you're sick with the flu, a common cold, or you fucking straight up have COVID.
And I'm not
And my
There's
whole
there's
life,
no way of telling
they've
anymore.
never once said
This
you
is a
can
hybrid.
protect against the common cold. The COVID illness that's being passed throughout all of the world is now much the same as the common cold.
It basically
And
is
if
the
their
same.
tests
it's the
can't
same-
tell the difference between
It's the
two,
exact same, and it's the exact same symptoms minus lack of smell or taste. But then again,
Exactly.
if you got the COVID vaccine, you have no taste.
And I'm not going to speak for anybody, but somebody in my life has recently told me that they have to make hard decisions like, do I want to get this 60K job or do I want to stay at home where I'm miserable?
Right.
So you're making people make these hard choices when you
Horrible
already know that
choices.
you put them in those
You put them in
you
those boxes.
put them in those positions.
And let's just talk about the fact that these choices that the Democratic is being put on the Democratic Party.
Yes.
This has all been given to the Democratic Party. I'm not going to say that if the Republicans hadn't been in power, they wouldn't have done the same thing.
It would have. It would
They
have.
would have
possible.
issued these mandates.
yes.
I'm sure they would have
And the
issued them.
Democrats
but-
would have fought these mandates.
Would have fought these mandates and would have said how much, because guess what? You did a year ago. You did a year ago when you said this is Trump vaccine.
Kamala
You did a year
Harris,
ago when you
Joe
said that you
Biden.
shouldn't be
Everybody
doing this
said,
to
like,
people.
Joe,
I'm not saying
Joe, Kamala, we're both saying this is Trump's vaccine. I am not taking Trump's
I'm not
vaccine.
saying that the Republicans wouldn't have done it, but all I have to say is this is going to end up being called the Democratic fuck up.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like
And
literally.
when
And
elections roll around,
Yep.
who's
Going
going
that-
to pay for this?
The Democrats.
Because
this
who's doing
is
it to
why.
us?
This
Because
is why
who
I
is
voted
doing
for
it to
neither.
us? Because who is doing it to
There was
us?
no difference at this point.
At the end of the day, the Democrats are in charge, and they're doing this to us.
Yes.
When a year ago, you told not only the people who wanted to vote for you, but the people that you yourself, as a Democrat, wanted to vote for you, you told them that you wouldn't do this to people.
And yet you're
and
doing
now
it
you're
anyway.
doing this to people.
It's not who you
and
are.
all these
Across the
videos,
board.
all these videos that I've seen about people who are declining and not complying with this vaccine mandate are saying, I voted you into power, and I feel like a foolish person for doing that.
Yes.
Because guess what? You're the one
believe
doing
you.
it to me.
Who's
Who's not doing it to me? The Republicans. Who's
Exactly.
not doing it to me? Like these people. You're
It's
doing it
hard
to me
to
as a
acknowledge-
Democrat.
And it's hard to acknowledge that you're getting more sympathy, more understanding out of Republicans in this moment
Yeah.
than you
The
are
fact that I have to
the
side with
Democratic
people
Party.
who are
hurts. As a Democrat.
I
as
have
someone
to
who's
side
voted
with-
Democrat.
As
with-
someone
with-
who's voted Democrat and has been, and it belongs to a Democratic family, like
Strange.
it's very strange.
I
But
side
it's
with
just
Nicki
like,
Minaj before I side with you.
And that's saying something because she's known
I
for,
vote for
rape.
Loki before
she's
I
known,
vote for any
she's
of y'all.
known for pressuring rape victims
Yes.
into a corner.
What are we
Why
doing?
am I siding with
with
her?
you?
Why do we have the same views?
And again, why can't I hear on my local news, cable news,
And this is another
that
thing.
there are protests going on in Southwest Airlines?
Yes.
Why do I have to hear
Oh
from
my
you
god.
idiots who think we're even dumber than you that weather is an issue?
Why
when
am I getting-
no other flight was compromised through air or weather
What?
or anything going on. You guys
saying it's a
had
weather issue.
a clear problem of people protesting you
They're not reporting it
because
properly.
there was an issue going on, and you try to palm it off on it's a weather problem.
Yeah.
On
It's
it's Dave
air
Chappelle making
conditioning.
you angry because that's
Yeah.
all we're talking about
Yeah.
is the fact that Dave Chappelle is making people angry.
The
Yet
fact that
I
I have
have I have a friend on Facebook who is an open trans woman is saying it's not
too.
stupid evil Dave Chappelle, it's honest Dave Chappelle.
He's just being honest how
And
he feels.
I don't feel like I need to have cisgender men talking about me and talking about my feelings. I don't give a fuck.
True.
I don't need
True to
someone-
that.
So
I don't
what are we
need-
talking
Giving him
about?
more power.
What are we
Exactly.
talking
Giving
about?
him more
We're
power.
talking about somebody
It's true.
who doesn't need to be talked about, and we're blaming somebody who doesn't need to be blamed in this
No,
moment.
no.
Who we need to blame is
the
you.
It's you giving him power, and this moment
Exactly.
you're making it a Dave Chappelle problem. Just ignore him.
Exactly.
Just ignore
I don't
him.
need to think about Dave Chappelle because Dave Chappelle pointed out all the things to me that I
It's
have
just-
been discerning and just not looking at in my
It's
life.
Dave Chappelle's personal experience.
Yes.
But in and of itself, if you don't like what Dave Chappelle has to say, don't give him any
Don't
power.
work.
Just
He talked
ignore
about
him.
COVID for this much.
Instead
You
of-
don't need to talk about Dave Chappelle. I need to talk about what you're doing as a Republican, enforcing all these mandates on me to stop
Democrat.
me.
Democrat.
Democrat,
not
to
not
stop me
Republican.
from going to school,
Right.
to stop me from getting my money, to
If-
stop me from doing how much in my life because
Right.
you feel like I should follow you.
Right.
Yeah.
That hard? You need me to follow you? How much did you fudge the
Unquestioningly.
numbers?
Oh, wait. We ain't got
Yeah.
no proof for that, but
Not yet,
from the
but
ground game that I've spoken to people, majority of people were just not either voting third party or they were going to vote for Trump, and that was scary to me and it was sad to
Yeah.
me.
because they felt like they had no other outlet. They felt like they had no one else representing them. They
That's
felt
true.
like they were being betrayed on either side.
And again, as we've said
and the
here
fact
before,
that,
it
and
was-
the fact, damn it, and the fact that I myself, who at before COVID even was a thing, I was very much going to vote Trump out of office.
Yeah.
I was very much going to vote Democrat, and whoever got the nomination, whether I supported them or not, I just wanted Trump out. But by the time COVID happened, and we really started to get into the nitty-gritty of election time, I was starting to doubt both parties. And the fact that it got to the point where I myself, for the first time ever, like the last time I was able to vote, it was Hillary versus Trump. Also, time in the middle. I was also in the middle. I voted for Hillary because I couldn't stand Trump. But I also didn't like Hillary either. So I was just like, it's either the lesser of two evils, have someone educated and then have someone who's just from reality TV. But when it got to the 2020 election and COVID was on the line and it was just raging at that point, I felt like I I was just caught in the middle of an ocean,
You're
not
abandoned.
not being able to
Abandoned.
find, not even just abandoned, just like listless. There was nothing there. There was no shore to be found on either side of this ocean. Just dropped in the middle of nowhere. Nothing. Just nothing, and not knowing where to choose. And in the end, I voted independent because I could not trust either side of the floor.
Understand that.
And the problem is right now is no matter which side of the political aisle you fall upon, there's nothing but propaganda.
Yeah, it's all propaganda at this point because it's 2021. We have primaries next year. No, 2 years from now, right? Primaries begin.
New York City mayor is in November.
November.
But in the next round of House and Senate is next year.
So again,
Right. So like by that point, people are probably going to vote Republican because they're starting to really notice.
Or third party.
Andrew
Yang started a third party.
That's true, he did. But it was just like we're getting to that point where in the 10 months that the Democrats have been in power with Biden in office as president, what has been done?
what do you have to show?
What do you really have to show for it?
Except for struggle.
Other than having people struggle,
Throw people off of unemployment, despite the fact that there
There
aren't
aren't
really jobs out there.
or
Not
if
jobs that pay well enough.
or if they're like as a person who has worked for something like Broadway where they paid you in peanuts basically
for the stress you
for the
take.
stress that you take and the emotional and psychological abuse that you get
From a billion-dollar industry.
from a $1 billion industry to working at a independent art installation where they pay me twice as much as I would in a day on Broadway. So it's just showing you that people are trying to get, especially on the job market, they want you to go back to pre-COVID payment.
Despite the fact that
inflation has gone insane.
And never mind the fact that idiot Joe Biden has
Because he is a fucking idiot.
Sadly.
but he's
Probably he's on the
increased
stage 3 of dementia.
he's increased Social Security 5+%, which is good.
That's
But
it.
5% plus. But that's to compensate for inflation. But have your wages gone up 5%?
No! Has minimum wage gone past 17 at minimum? Was
No.
it 15 at minimum?
I think in New York City it's 15. New York State
But
is
again,
15.
they're taking care of the folks they think will vote for them.
The old people.
They're taking
Yeah.
care of the older crowd.
They're taking
who
care of
now
my parents'
are worried.
generation.
Older, I
Exactly.
think, a little bit.
Really?
They're worried.
Aren't on Social
60s.
Security yet.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, so yeah, that's true.
They're
They're
worried
60s.
about Social
My
Security.
dad's 66. My mom's
And that
65 in
clearing-
November.
That clearing inflation, but you working at In-N-Out Burger, you don't need.
Work at McDonald's.
You don't need to worry about that. Just
Work at Panda
take
Express.
whatever offered and keep moving.
Side note, if you are not working, work at Panda Express. They start at $20 minimum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm.
At least the one near me does.
At least that's something.
That's something.
But again, minimum wage in order to keep pace with what inflation was in, say,
The 60s.
the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. Minimum wage in this moment needs to be about $25, $30
At least an hour. Yeah.
an hour.
And
of course.
and there was actually this segment that I saw on Instagram this morning saying that in order to make the money that your CEO is making, you have to work 40 hours a week for 300 years in order to catch up to what your CEOs are currently making. Because right now, because of inflation, but also because of the way our economy is, and has been since the Reagan administration, and because trickle-down economics, you would be taking 3 lifetimes more to make the money that you should be making because your CEOs have been taking from you and just from the economy, from taxes, from whatever the else that they're doing under the table, who knows. But the fact that they're still making more than you every year for less amount of hours, for less amount of time is astonishing.
For far
less work.
But
Okay, please,
please.
No.
no, it's do not understand how every CEO who's become a trillionaire, a billionaire, etc., has only done that on the backs of people getting screwed over.
Yes.
Has only done that off of the efforts of their day-to-day workers not getting compensated what they should be compensated.
Right, exactly.
And that's across the board.
Yeah.
We speak about Broadway a lot on this
because
podcast.
Because we worked there.
Yes.
3 of us worked there.
Personally was in charge of basically shutting down a Broadway theater, which I had to make sure the power was
Closing
off.
Closing up
at night, make sure things were like locked down,
making sure everything was copacetic.
And whether I worked a $100,000 show or $1 billion show, I still got paid barely more than minimum wage.
Yeah.
To secure these $1 million investments, make sure they were safe,
and these
make
ancient
sure everything
theaters.
was protected.
Over 100 years old.
And these ancient ass theaters that have not been cleaned in like over 30 decades.
But again, as you said, for 40 years, we've deliberately been kept on a lower level than we should have been.
Yeah.
We have had our wages suppressed. We've had our unions destroyed, infiltrated.
Yeah.
People who work for unions now basically work for the management.
Yes.
This has been, and I'd say, an untenable situation for now at least, I say 40 years, let's say 20 years. But these people now have forgotten that the unions step in and are the stopgap from us running to where you live and pulling you out of your house in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
These unions are there to address grievances. We all, as populace, feel that you're ruining our lives. You're taking advantage of us. And now you expect us to go take subpar wages while you're making billions.
Right.
This is insanity.
Yeah.
And this is where we really are getting to the point where people are slowly starting to realize that the pot is boiling, and it's probably boiling over.
Yeah.
At this point, let's be real.
Yeah.
It takes one more lockdown.
I think not even that. It doesn't matter. I think it's just the continuation of this moment.
Here's the thing: if we lock down tomorrow, how many people have had enough work in weeks? Because that's how unemployment counts it.
Right.
How many people have had enough work to where you'll actually catch unemployment benefits?
Right.
As someone who is a CUNY student at this moment, and just a student in general, bitch, there ain't no more water in the pot.
Yeah.
No.
We're
done.
We need to stand together.
The house
we
is on
need to
fire.
understand that we're not alone.
To
because
quote,
do I feel alone? Yes. But do I know that there are people out there who are fighting just as hard as me?
Yes.
Yes. And I'm sorry if you had to succumb to their rules and you had to comply to them. I am truly sorry and I miss you. But guess what? I'm fighting and we're fighting.
But to quote old American politics, we either stand together or we hang apart. That's it. That's where we are right now. Either you stand together and let these idiot billionaires know that they pushed these things past gauche.
Right.
They've pushed things past where we're comfortable with and beyond that.
We're way past
to where
kosher.
we can't even provide for a household, let alone ourselves, etc., etc. These fools have made trillions of dollars
off your pain. Off of your pain.
Yes.
Off of your labor. And you're expected to take it.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, work 2 jobs, work 3 jobs.
Because it's the natural order of things.
Yes.
And them not taking pay cuts while you're on unemployment.
Right.
Yes. But
God forbid.
in the past year, if you would have taxed Bezos, etc., fucking Elon, whoever might be on the chopping block this day, Bill Gates, whoever, if you would have taxed them at the previous to Reagan era tax rate, we would now be able to pay for all of your high school, college, etc. education.
Yeah.
That
we
would
would
be
have
free to you
fucking
right now.
education by this point.
That would be free to you
Education
right now.
should be free.
If
You
we
should not be
simply-
paid to learn.
If we simply tax them at the pre-existing 40 years ago tax rate, this would be nothing to us. If everyone needed to stay at home in order to fight off COVID, we would now be able to afford that because you'd be taxing the richest 1% of us at the appropriate rate.
And we would have been ready.
That's us for this week, everybody. Leave you with those thoughts. Thank you again, and I'm Nirvana Diaz.
I'm Amanda Bressler.
I'm Raymond A. Morales.
Still
Bitches.
student, unpaid intern.
We wish everyone a safe and happy week. We'll see you next one. Bye.
Go away.